Next is Intraverbals. It focuses on reciprocal conversation and fill-in-the-blank interactions. Intraverbals are typically taught once the learner has mastered manding and the ability to tact. Example, fill in the blank, teacher says twinkle twinkle little, then learner says star. Next is textual. Textual is a learner's ability to read. It is important to note that just because someone can read, this does not necessarily mean they understand what it means. You can focus on this verbal operant by having a learner read a book with you or practicing sight words with a learner. Example, teacher holds up a card with the word cat on it and states, "What does this say?" Then learner says cat. Next is transcript. Transcript is writing and spelling what is being spoken. It is also used for spelling words, writing names, or taking notes. Examples. Example 1, teacher says spell cat, then learner says C-A-T. Example 2, teacher says write your name, then learner writes down their name. Next is matching. One is matching identical items. It means matching an item to the same item. For example, a learner is given a picture of a cat and is expected to match it to the identical picture of that cat. Second is matching non-identical items. Matching non-identical items supports learners with generalization. For example, if a learner is given a picture of a cat and in front of the learner is a picture of a cat and a tiger, the learner will match the cat to the tiger. This is because they are both animals and are both types of cats. Your SD for this demand would typically be match then the item. Next is sorting. Sorting is an important skill to teach because it supports learners with understanding categorization. Categorization is the act of sorting and organizing objects or things into different groups by their attributes. Categorization is an important skill because it teaches learners how to understand similarities and differences. Your SD for this demand will be sort. Example, teacher hands the learner a messy pile of food items, school supplies, and animals. State sort. Learner sorts the items into 3 different piles: a pile of food, a pile of school supplies, and a pile of animals. Next is FFC, or feature, function, and class. The feature focuses on the learner being able to identify features of items or people. Features of a human are their hair and eye color, their height, and their body parts. Whereas features of a table would be the color, how tall and wide it is, and whether is it glass, wood, or another material. Function focuses on the purpose of the item or thing. A car's purpose or function is to drive, a pen to write, and a home's function is to live in it. The class focuses on the category an item is in. For example, the class of a cat is an animal. The class of a table is furniture. And the class of an apple is fruit or food. The SD will vary depending on if you are targeting FFC via receptive ID, point to blank, show me blank, or give me blank, or via tacting, tell me the one that is blank or which one is blank. Receptive ID feature example. Teacher lays out a picture of red car, a blue mug, and a green house in front of the learner and states, point to the one that is green. Then, learner points to the greenhouse. Example of tacting feature. Teacher lays out a picture of red car, a blue mug, and a greenhouse in front of the learner and states, tell me the one that is green. Learner says, the house. Example of receptive ID function. Teacher lays out a picture of a car, a TV, and a pen and states, point to the one you write with. Then learner points to the pen. Example of tacting function. Teacher lays out a picture of a car, a TV, and a pen and states, tell me the one that drives. Then learner says, the car. Example of receptive ID class. Teacher lays out a picture of a dog, a pen, and a table and states, point to the one that is furniture. Then learner points to the table. Example of tacting class. Teacher lays out a picture of a dog, a pen, and a table and states, tell me the one that is furniture. Then learner says, the table. Other ways to teach in ABA. Accepting denied access, practicing waiting, working on labeling emotions, practicing expressing their emotions, being able to remain on task, behavior reduction goals. You may teach them safety skills, play skills, and social skills such as problem solving. Next is task analysis. Next is task analysis in ABA. Task analysis is when a complex skill such as hand washing and shoe tying is broken down into smaller and simpler steps that support a learner in acquiring the skill. It is usually used for complex skills such as daily living skills and hygiene tasks. For example, for hand washing, the steps may be turn on the water, put your hands in the water to wet them, Put a pump of soap in your hands, rub hands together for 15 to 20 seconds, rinse the soap of hands, turn off the water, dry hands with a paper towel, and last is throw paper towel in the trash. Next will be chaining methods. Total task analysis can be taught via chaining, prompting, or shaping. There are three main forms of chaining: forward chaining, backward chaining, and total task chaining. First is forward chaining. It is when the learner is being taught the first step of the chain and must complete the first step before accessing reinforcement. Second is backward chaining. It is when the teacher completes all the steps in the chain for the learner except the last step. The learner is required to complete the last step before accessing reinforcement. Third is total task chaining. It is when the learner is taught each step in the chain and is required to complete each step before accessing reinforcement. Regardless of which form of chaining is being used, prompting, shaping, and DTT may be used to support the learner with learning each step in the chain. Ensure to read the goal and ask the BCBA to ensure you are using the correct chaining procedure for your learner. In this slide, we're going to talk about mastery criteria. Mastery criteria. These are the criteria a learner must meet before we can master a targeted goal and to confidently say a learner has learned a targeted behavior and it is now in their repertoire. Typical criteria. A learner is required to engage in a targeted behavior in 80% of opportunities across 3 or 5 consecutive sessions. The purpose of mastery criteria is it confirms the learner has consistently acquired the skill and ensures behavior is part of the learner's repertoire. Key reminder: percentages and session requirements may vary. Always check each goal for specific mastery requirements. Next will be prompting. What is prompting? Prompts are instructions, gestures, demonstrations, touches, or other things that we arrange or do to increase the likelihood that learner will make correct responses. In other words, it is a specific form of assistance given by a practitioner before or as the learner attempts to complete a response. There are types of prompts in ABA, and these are full physical prompt, partial physical prompt, modeling, verbal prompt, gestural prompt, visual prompt, and independent prompt. First type of prompt is full physical prompt or hand over hand. This involves physically guiding a learner through the whole response via maneuvering their body parts to achieve the correct response. Example: helping a learner clap hands by bringing their hands together. Next is partial physical prompt. This involves physically guiding the learner through part of the response via maneuvering part of their body to achieve the correct response. Example: a learner is given the instruction clap hands. The learner moves their hands to begin clapping but does not do so. The practitioner might tap both learners' hands to prompt them to bring them together, and then the learner claps. Third is model prompt. This involves showing the learner how to complete the task via the practitioner, demonstrating or modeling how to complete the task. Example: a learner is given the instruction clap hands. The learner does not clap their hands, and the practitioner claps their hands to demonstrate the correct response. The learner will then see the practitioner demonstrating hand clapping, and then the learner will clap their hands. Next type of prompt is verbal prompt. This involves providing words to a learner to support them with completing the task. Example: a learner is shown a red ball and is asked, "What color is this?" The learner does not answer, and the practitioner provides a verbal prompt by saying red. The learner will then be able to answer that the ball is red. Next is gestural prompts. This involves utilizing a gesture such as pointing, looking, or nodding at something as a prompt for a learner. This does not involve touching the learner like a full or partial physical prompt. Example: a learner is asked to point to the car from an array of 3 pictures. The learner does not answer, so the practitioner provides a prompt by pointing at the correct picture of a car. Next is visual prompt. This involves using visuals such as pictures, words, etc. to guide a learner to the correct response. Example: a learner is told to wash their hands. The learner does not respond. The practitioner then points to a picture of steps of hand washing to support the client with hand washing. Additional types of prompt. Positional prompts. This prompt is not shown in the chart but is a useful form of prompting. These are prompts in which you place the targeted item slightly closer to the client to support them in getting the right answer. Example: the teacher shows the learner 3 objects, a ball, a shoe, and an apple, and asks the learner, "Point to the one that you eat." The teacher places the apple closest to the learner, and the learner then points to the apple. Next is choice prompts. A choice prompt is when practitioners provide the learner with 2 or 3 answers to choose from to support them in making the correct response. For example, if a learner were asked if a peer walked up and kicked you, what would be the safest and best way to handle the problem? The practitioner would then say, would you kick them back, go tell a teacher, or walk away? The learner will then hopefully choose one of the correct responses of walking away or telling a teacher. Next is how to prompt and fade. The chart shows prompts from most to least intrusive, with the most intrusive being the full physical prompt. The goal is to prompt using the least to most intrusive prompting. It is important to try and support a learner using the least intrusive forms of prompting to achieve independence faster and to decrease the likelihood of a learner becoming prompt dependent. Next is prompt dependence. It is when a learner waits for prompts to complete a task and struggles with completing it without prompts. Our goal is to support learners in becoming independent, and therefore we also prompt fade. Next is prompt fading. It's the act of decreasing the use of prompts to support a learner with increasing their independence. The goal is that eventually the learner will no longer need any prompts to complete the task. Example: teacher states, clap hands. Learner does not respond. Teacher states, clap hands, and then provides a full physical prompt. Learner claps hands with a full physical prompt. Teacher states, clap hands, and then provides a model prompt. Learner claps their hands. Teacher states, clap hands with no prompts. Learner independently claps their hands. Next slide is about error correction and errorless teaching. Additional types of prompts. First is errorless teaching. Errorless teaching supports a client's learning by helping the client avoid errors. This is a fantastic way to increase the likelihood of mastery of a goal. In errorless teaching, you support the client by helping them avoid making errors during their learning process. This is done by stating your demand and then immediately prompting the learner. You will also use prompt fading when using errorless teaching. Example: teacher shows the learner a red pen and states, "What color is this?" The teacher then immediately provides a verbal prompt by stating red. Learner says red. Teacher shows the learner a red pen and states, "What color is this?" The teacher then immediately provides a partial verbal prompt by stating re. Learner says red. Teacher shows the learner a red pen and states, "What color is this?" No prompt is provided this time because we want to prompt fade. Learner says red. Errors are going to happen, and that is okay because it is a part of learning. But if we can prompt a client before they can error, we will increase their likelihood of mastery, and they will master that target sooner compared to if they were allowed to error. Errorless teaching is best used when a learner is first being introduced to a new skill or target. Error correction, in its simplest terms, error correction is a procedure where you correct a client when they completed a task incorrectly. Error correction is known to support a client with increasing their ability to learn new skills through the act of supporting them with correcting their mistakes. True error correction in ABA is exceedingly long and extensive. It can also be very aversive for many clients. The form of error correction that will be taught her is much less extensive and much less aversive. Practitioners must pay attention to learners' reaction, avoid shutting down or negative impact. Know when to move forward if errors persist. Use prompt fading as part of correction. How is error correction ran? Example 1, teacher has 2 toys in front of the client. One is a dog and the other is a car. Teacher states, "Show me the car," then learner points to the dog. Teacher runs error correct, says, "Show me the car," and immediately provides a full physical prompt, then learner points to the car. Teacher says, "Show me the car," and immediately provides a gesture prompt, then learner points to the car. Teacher says, "Show me the car," provides no prompts if learner has been successful with previous prompts, then learner points to the car. Teacher uses differential reinforcement and tries again. Example 2. The learner struggles with error correction. Teacher has 2 toys in front of the client. One is a dog and the other is a car. Teacher states, "Show me the car." Learner points to the dog. Teacher says, "Show me the car," and immediately provides a gesture prompt. Learner points to the car. Teacher uses differential reinforcement and tries again. Next slide is differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement is when you reinforce a client differentially depending on their response. If a client completes the task without erroring or needing any prompts, then the learner will be reinforced at a greater level versus when they error or need prompting. Example, if a learner is instructed to clap and do so independently, they may be given a full minute with their reinforcer of choice. Ways a practitioner can differentially reinforce a learner is by providing more or less time with a preferred reinforcement, providing a learner with a less or more reinforcing item, or even giving a smaller piece of an item versus the whole piece. Example, the client is working for a shark. The client gets the answer wrong. You then either give the client 5 to 10 seconds with the shark or a less reinforcing item like a car. If the client gets the answer right, then you give them the shark for at least 45 seconds to a minute. Why it works? Encourages independence by making correct responses more rewarding. Can also reduce challenging behaviors by reinforcing alternative appropriate behaviors. For example, you will not reinforce a learner for yelling and crying when they want something. You will reinforce the alternative appropriate behavior of using functional communication to request for their wants and needs. Next slide is discrete trial training, or DTT. What is discrete trial training? It is focused on structured learning using mass trials. DTT can be a fantastic way to support learners by focusing on specific skills and targeting their goals. DTT allows for more focused learning, which allows for repetition and often leads to faster learning of critical skills. Benefits of DTT are faster learning of critical skills, decreases distractions, and provides a safe, structured environment. It also builds success in classroom, dining table, and similar settings. Implementation and tips for DT. Start by pairing environment and yourself with reinforcement. Provide reinforcement between trials. Begin with short sessions if learner finds DT aversive. Can be done at a table, floor, couch, even trampoline, not limited to one place. Discrete trial training breakdown. Step 1. Get all your needed materials to run the DTT session. Step 2. Ensure you have several different reinforcers the learner is motivated for. You can do this by assessing their preferences via holding up items or giving them time to play with toys or items and see which ones they play with most. Step 3. Transition to the designed DTT space. This should be a space that has little to no distractions around. Step 4. Reinforce the learner for transitioning and pair the learner with the environment and yourself. Step 5. After approximately 30 seconds to a minute of pairing, give the learner a 5-second countdown and take the reinforcer they are engaged in. Step 6. Assess learner's motivation by holding up 2 to 3 items and stating, "What are we working for?" or "What do you want?" If they reach for an item, point to it or even label it, that is them stating what they are motivated for. Do not give them the reinforcer yet. Step 7. The first trial you are going to place 1 or 2 demands they already have mastered. If they have no mastered targets, start with only one demand of a target they've been having an easier time with. Step 8. Appropriately reinforce the learner. Step 9. After reinforcement time is up, give a 5-second countdown, take the item or activity, and reassess motivation again as discussed in Step 6. Step 10. On the second trial. Place 1, 3 demands depending on their reinforcement schedule. Make sure the first demand is always a mastered target. Step 11. Repeat steps 8 to 10 until you are done running DTT. As you continue with each trial, you can require more demands before reinforcing the learner if it is within their reinforcement schedule. Discrete trial training important tips. Before running trials, pair the learner with you and the environment. Ensure you have all your needed materials before beginning DTT. Always reassess learner motivation before starting trials. Ensure you have several different reinforcers with you before starting a DTT session, as motivation can change at any time. Let's talk about session timing and frequency for discrete trial training. For early learners, keep each session short and focused, about 1 to 5 minutes per session. For middle learners, you can increase that to 5 to 10 minutes. For advanced learners, aim for 10 to 15 minutes per session. And for your target goals, try to run these sessions about 1 to 2 times per hour to ensure enough practice without overwhelming the learner. Discrete trial training, important tips during trials. Reassess motivation before starting. Start each trial with 1 to 2 mastered targets. Vary verbal operants, avoid focusing on only 1 to 2 goals. When the learner is being taught a new skill or target, use errorless teaching, prompt fading, and differential reinforcement. Use error correction when learners make errors. Goals that are not appropriate to target during DTT include but is not limited to daily living skills, denied access, transitioning between environments other than when transitioning to and from the DTT environment, eating goals, peer play goals, and sharing goals. Now, let's go over the steps of discrete trial teaching. First, the teacher gains the child's attention to make sure they are ready to learn. Next, the instruction or stimulus is presented. This is where we give the direction or task. Then we allow the child a moment to respond. This pause is important to give them processing time. From here, there are two possible outcomes. If the child gives a correct response, we immediately provide reinforcement to encourage the behavior. If the child gives an incorrect response, we apply error correction to guide them towards the right answer. After this, we have the inter-trial interval, a brief pause before starting the next trial. This sequence helps maintain structure, consistency, and clarity during learning. Next slide is about natural environment teaching, or NET. Natural environment teaching, or NET. It is a terrific way to teach learners skills while engaging in fun activities and increases their ability to generalize skills. It also focuses on generalization. Generalization is when a learner can appropriately apply skills they learned in one environment to other environments, even new and unfamiliar environments. For example, learning to self-regulate is an important skill in the school environment, at work, at home, in the community, and in many other environments. Another example is manding. It is important that we learn how to communicate our wants and needs across several environments and not just one. How NET works. NET can be used to teach several skills from language development, self-regulation, social skills, boundaries, and other important developmental and life skills. NET can be done by engaging in play with the learner or using other interests of the learner to build rapport and teach skills. For example, if a child likes Legos, a practitioner can use Legos to support the child with learning different skills, such as sharing, expressing feelings, teaching colors, propositions, and other skills. NET is often less informal and less structured, but the practitioner should ensure to maintain instructional control by being conscious of the environment and the learner's needs. It is important that practitioners understand their learners' learning styles, developmental levels, skill levels, and many other factors about the learner. This is important to understand because it guides a practitioner on when and how often it is appropriate to use DTT and/or NET with a learner. Here we have an overview of natural environment teaching, or NET. Next is incidental teaching. Incidental teaching is a form of NET when practitioners use naturally occurring incidents, situations, or events to provide the learners with learning opportunities. An example of this would be, if a learner needs to go to the bathroom, practitioners can take advantage of that naturally occurring incident to practice hand washing with a learner. If a learner has a goal of using healthy coping skills and they become upset during session, this is a naturally occurring incident that can be used to practice having them use their healthy coping skills and even practice communicating their feelings in developmentally appropriate ways.